Well, I am sitting here with Johnny Rodriguez. And, John, I first of all want to congratulate you on your new Capitol recording contract.
Thank you, Ralph. Well, you had a lot to do with that too, Ralph, because you pretty much held me up too during I was kind of had an off period there for a while too, so I appreciate that a lot.
What kind of off period are you talking?
Well, I wasn't recording, and I did your TV show, a lot, and that kept me out in front of people, and all that stuff.
As they say, you were between labels.
That's right.
You started recording for Mercury, then you went to CBS. How long has it been since you've had a record?
It's been about a year and a half, something like that.
Was that a CBS?
Yeah, the last one was a CBS record. I think it's the best thing, that I could have done was taking some time without recording, because during that time, man, I went through a lot of changes, especially with the music. I was kind of confused. I kind of got myself in a rut there for a while. I was confused about what to record. And then when I wasn't recording or nothing like that, I'd find myself going back to kind of songs that I like to sing. And it pretty much took me back to the same, like basic kind of music that I started out with.
Is there a difference in the kinds of songs you like to sing and the kinds of songs you feel you must record?
Well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I think so. Because, matter of fact, this is the song, the brand new one that I've got out on Capitol now, called "I Didn't," was one of those kinds of songs. I didn't know
which kind of song.
One of those songs that I felt like I should record. I didn't know if I could sing it well, and I didn't know if, for some reason or other, I just had a feeling that if I didn't record it, I'd be driving down the street the next week or the next month, and I'd hear it on the radio.
You mean by somebody else?
Yeah, because it was just a good song, but I didn't know if it was good for me, but it came off pretty good.
Have you had that happen to you? Have you turned down songs that became hits for other people?
Oh yeah. Let's see. Let me name you a couple. One of them was "Daytime Friends and Nighttime Lovers." That's that Kenny Rogers had. Ben Peters pitched me that song on the same tape with "Love Put a Song in My Heart."
You used to live back to back, backyard to backyard with Ben Peters.
That's right. And let me see, what was another song that I passed on? Well, that's a good one right there. Oh, boy.
But, I can ask that question of most any performer who has recorded a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's done it.
Yeah. And then you hear them on the radio and you say, where have I heard that song before?
I heard the wildest story the other day. Paul Overstreet told me that he wrote Forever and Ever Amen for George Jones, and George turned it down.
There you go.
So that I rest my case.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's because sometimes, like I've been guilty of this myself. You get to just recording, if you get in that rut, also recording just stuff that I like, stuff like that may not necessarily be what the people out there like either, you know what I'm saying? That's why, it's always good to have good ears around you, like producers, and stuff like that.
Let's make up a hypothetical album. Let's put in it the songs you would like to record.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Whew. That's a tough one. You mean songs that have already been recorded?
Yeah, just songs you like.
Oh, songs that have already been recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I always like "Love Me With All Your Heart." I still, do that one on my show. And, but songs that I haven't recorded yet.
"Love Me With All Your Heart" is...
Cuando Calienta el Sol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's sort of an international favorite.
Yeah.
Give me the title slowly.
Cuando Calienta...
Cuando Caliente del Sol. Right?
Cuando Calienta el Sol. That's okay, Ralph.
All right. Now, you did record that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
But I'm talking about songs you've never recorded that you just like.
Mm.
How about the one you did on Nashville Now last night, "Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying"?
Yeah, that's a good one right there. And, man, well, you hit me with a pretty hard one there, too. Ralph, why are you asking all these questions?
Well, because I figured there are certain songs that you just happen to like. Who
think?
Which
I've recorded a bunch of them, too.
Which singers do you like?
Oh, I tell you, yeah, that's an easier way to look at it. Johnny Mathis has recorded a lot of real good songs. I'd like to record, some of the songs that he recorded. 12th of Never, and songs like
Chances Are.
that. Like that. And I like a lot of the old songs. I wouldn't call them jazzy or bluesy. I don't know what kind of style that would be. But let's see. I liked his songs a lot. But let me think of somebody. Jim Croce had a lot of good songs.
Time in a Bottle.
That's some songs I'd like to record.
He's also did he write his own songs?
Yeah.
So he created the term junkyard dog.
Yeah, it came out. That was the first time I think it'd been on a record. But those are two people right now that I can just right off the bat think of.
Do you like Julio Iglesias?
Oh yeah, man! I tell you, I got to meet him when he played out here at Starwood, and I went backstage and we visited for about an hour and a half, something like that, and we had a pretty good time visiting.
When you talk to Julio Iglesias, which language do you talk in?
We spoke in Spanish. We sat there and rattled away in Spanish.
Are you more comfortable speaking Spanish?
No, I don't. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I can go either way, with the language. That this
was he more comfortable?
I believe he was. Yeah, I believe he was more comfortable speaking Spanish. Because I find myself sometimes, like if I started out, sometimes I think in Spanish. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna say something, I gotta hesitate a little bit. And I noticed, like he was a little bit, like hesitant sometimes. Somebody ask him something sometimes, and he has to hesitate and switch languages. Switch gears.
If you think in Spanish, is that a lot different? Are the speech phrases reversed?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because the other perfect example, Ralph, was I made a mistake on a song that I did on Nashville Now the other night when I sang "Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying," and I told you I'd made a mistake.
And you sang part
today
of it,
when I drove to town. Everybody was today when I drove to town. I couldn't believe it. Everybody was saying, "Hey, what did you say to Ralph last night? What was that word that you that I was kidding about? With you on the show?" But what I did was I hadn't sang this song in quite a while, and when I translated it before, that very thing that we're talking about, that switch off of the, if you say a green car, you'd say carro verde. You turn it around, okay?
You mean car green?
You say car green, okay? So I got into the lyrics.
Now you were singing "Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying." And you sang part of it in Spanish.
I said, "Que no te cae el sol llorando, don't let the sun catch you crying. La noche es tiempo para tus lágrimas, the night's a time for all your tears." And then I went into this part, which goes, "La mañana será feliz." The morning will bring joy. Will be a happy one for every girl and boy. And then right there, in that part right there, I said, "Para ella y para ti" is the way I translated it originally, so it would rhyme with the other word that I had in there. But last night when I was doing that song on your show, I forgot what those two words, that little line right there was translated, and automatically my mind clicked over to the translation. I went into that, and that's why I said, "La mañana va a traer," the morning will bring joy. I started to say it. It would have been just as if I'd have said it the same thing in English, but in Spanish. But literally, it wouldn't have. I would have had to say too many words to make that whole line
you
match in there.
You mean it wouldn't have been singable?
Exactly, yeah. And I was already on national television all over the place, so I switched right back to those last two words and make it rhyme, and then I told you I made a mistake.
But the audience basically didn't know. Do you think a Spanish-speaking person caught the mistake?
Oh, yeah, probably so, yeah.
I thought, what is this?
Yeah, what's he doing now? Yeah.
Something else I have noticed about you is that when we talk in English, which we have to, you seem like you try harder to talk. When you revert to Spanish, it seems like you have a softer tone, and it seems to come faster and much easier.
Yeah.
So is English an effort for you?
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Even after all these years.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Because I always, want to make sure that I say the right thing, because it doesn't come. Spanish was my first language that I learned, so I still kind of get stumped every now and then.
Johnny, where did you learn to speak English?
Well, and at home, really, we. By the time I was about 4 years old, I guess I started learning words in English. 3 or 4.
I assume you grew up in a household where
And
Spanish was spoken.
Spanish was, spoken around my house in my part of the neighborhood and everything. So all my mother's friends and all the kids that I played with and everything else spoke Spanish. But it was a bilingual area, like down in South Texas.
Okay, now you're from Sabanel, near San Antonio, Texas.
Right.
People on the street, what do they speak?
Both. They're people down there in that part of the country, both the Hispanics and Anglos. They're both cultures are pretty bilingual down that part of the country. I guess because there's so much Hispanic influence down there too.
All right, is there the reverse of the Johnny Rodriguez's of the world? Are there little Texas kids that start out speaking English in their households?
Yes.
And in order to get by, have to learn to speak Spanish?
Yes, there sure is. And there's Hispanic kids also that grow up speaking just English now. Nowadays also, and then they have to learn Spanish later on down the line because I've seen, like, I've had friends that I've run into before, and they say, "Dang, I wish I'd have started out speaking Spanish." Way before, because I run into somebody sometimes, this friend of mine say, and another Mexican guy he'd run into, and they'd start speaking Spanish to him, and he wouldn't know what he was saying. He said, "It's the stupidest feeling in the world, man."
You mean to be Mexican?
Yeah, and not be able to speak Spanish, so like that.
I'm talking to Johnny Rodriguez, who first came to Nashville in 1972, I suppose, about 15 years ago. And Johnny Rodriguez, when he first came to town, there was the story of him stealing the goat, and that story stayed with you for years.
It has stayed with me for years.
What I was about to say, I haven't heard much about the goat.
No, not lately.
Not in a long time.
But every now and then I run into somebody.
But what I was going to ask you, I know you were befriended by a Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
Joaquin
Jackson.
And I wondered, when you went to jail, he helped you get out and helped you in a number of ways.
That's right.
Whatever happened to him?
He's in West Texas, in Alpine, Texas is where he's stationed now. That's where I think he wants to retire. He's been a ranger now for like 23 years, Texas Ranger. And he's still young. He's not even 50, I don't think. He's about 50 years old, something like that. But that's where he wanted to retire, in West Texas, where those big mule deer are. He likes to hunt and stuff, too.
Do you ever see him anymore?
Yeah, I see him every year. We go hunting together and see each other. I just talked to him the other night, matter of fact.
How did that story become so popular? Did all of the people that did your early bios at Mercury Records include the goat story?
I guess so. The first thing the first way it got out was a guy that did I'll remember his name in a minute, a writer there in San Antonio. Picked up the story, and then UPI picked it up, and AP picked it up, Associated Press. So it was all over the place. Then the disc jockeys would pick up and read it over the air, and next it just caught on like that. And then Mercury and all them would put it on my bio and all that.
Gave the disc jockey something to talk about.
Yeah.
Here's a new record by a new singer who once stole a goat.
Yeah.
And was put in jail for it. I'm making it very simple. And that story stuck with you for a long time.
Yeah.
Johnny, do today's audiences, when you go out and work, do they still remember past?
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. It doesn't seem to me like in a way that it's been so long, but it has. And you'd think, that they wouldn't, recognize it, but they still request it and ask for it all the time.
Johnny, I want you to list for me the 11 or 12 big records you had before your drug problem.
I guess it was, let's see, Pass Me By, You Always Come Back to Hurting Me, Dance With Me Just One More Time, Ride My Thumb to Mexico, That's the Way Love Goes, Something, Love Put a Song in My Heart, I Can't Get Out of My Mind, Practice Makes Perfect, Makes Me Wonder If I Ever Said Goodbye, Saving This Love Song for You, and Just Get Up and Close the Door, and Hillbilly Heart, and
So
I
you
think
had
that's about 13,
you had
14.
quite a string at Mercury Records.
Uh-huh, that's right.
And then you had a drug problem.
Right.
Did you have hits after this period in your life?
No, no, not really.
How about North of the Border?
I had, like hits that got airplay, but I didn't have number one hits. I had North of the Border. North of the Border was a top 10 record. Down on the Rio Grande got a lot of airplay, and How Could I Love Her So Much and Foolin', but they weren't number one records. They were like top 5 and top 10.
How is your drug problem today?
Great.
I mean,
yeah.
is it totally in remission?
Yeah.
Or you have no problem?
No.
You feel like you're just starting out in the business?
I sure do. I sure do. And it's exciting again, too. I'm enjoying it, man, because I feel like I've gotten back in touch with what's going on out here now, and I got a pretty good feel of what the pulse out there is,
How old were you when you had Pass Me By?
20 years old.
You were a very poor Mexican kid, weren't you?
That's right.
Did you have a hard time handling newfound fame and newfound wealth?
Oh, yes, man. I didn't know what had hit me. I really didn't, because it was there for a while, but I just didn't feel like I deserved it, for one thing. I don't know why, and I just got all this money and recognition and stuff, and I just wanted to just give it away, I guess, or whatever.
When you gave your money away?
I used to do and but it just hit me like I thought, wow, man, this is wild, and I just didn't know how to settle into it, how to live that way, because I didn't know.
You didn't know how to live what way?
Just where you can have like icebox full of food all the time, or drive a new car.
Were you hungry as a child?
Oh yeah, I've been hungry before. Yeah, when I was a kid.
And you didn't have to buy things on time?
Yeah, right, exactly. And just things like that just changed my whole life and made things easy to acquire. Like friends, for instance. No, yeah, it was amazing all the new friends that I made too, and cousins and aunts and uncles and all that.
When you become famous, they come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, buddy.
Let me ask you this, John. In talking about your drug problem and all your hits and your newfound wealth for a young Mexican boy who suddenly became wealthy, could afford anything he wanted. I'm going to ask you this because somebody once said Elvis ran out of thrills. Did you run out of thrills?
Yeah, I did. I sure did.
Did everything become so easy that nothing knocks you out anymore?
That's right. You're exactly right. And that's about the time that I really got to messing around with drugs, and
was this an
thrills.
effort to find a thrill?
Yeah, to find a thrill, just for something else. And well, I got myself in a big mess there, But I just thank God that I made it through alive, I went through treatment, and I talked to people about my problem, and that's half the battle,
Do you think that happens to a lot of entertainers? They run out of thrills?
I think so. I really do.
Is this a difficult thing to handle?
Yeah, it really is, because you've got the hardest part of it is recognizing it. Knowing that it's there, that's not normal to do that. Normal people just don't run out of thrills, and things to do. And because when you're right in the midst of it, just convinced. I speak for myself. I convinced myself that it was something new and that I could afford it. I deserved it. And that's the worst rationalization I ever made.
How did you justify it when you said, I deserved it?
Yeah.
Because,
the way I justified it was I go out here and I work and I get paid, and I can afford it. It's in my pocket, and I guess that's for me, so I'll just entertain myself this way. And that's crazy.
I wish you well with it.
Thank you.
And I thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ralph.